Yeah, welcome. Yesterday, I'm not even sure if everything is okay. But yesterday I thought for the 24 hours we are going into, there'll not be enough movements in the market or a lot of things to talk about. But wait, there is a lot of important stuff that has happened in the last 24 hours. And I'll just go first. Background. Let's go back. Probably 2 seasons ago or for a couple of seasons ago. Like everything. Yeah, why am I shouting? I'm even excited. Just a little bit. Let me, let me, let me first see if everything. I'm not even sure if everything is okay. Like for the past two streams. So if you are in the streams, if you are in the chat, just write if everything is okay. I hate after this stream I'm going back to see and then I see a lot of noise and a lot of buffering. But let's continue. We hope things are okay. Thing is, 2 seasons ago or for the past couple of seasons, after the season, people will go into a break, a very, very long break, probably 3 weeks, some even a month. Then they will come back for preseason. And during preseason or just before preseason, that's when teams were excited or that's when teams started becoming too eager to sign. Like that's when people, like it was a whole team going on a holiday, even the scouts, everybody. Then during preseason, that's when you'll start hearing news of people signing, people being interested, a lot of rumors. And the thing is, there was a very, very short window to sign. There was a very, very short window to sign. With this, some teams became desperate. People used to do their business late, and that meant a lot of teams who are selling will have an upper hand in the negotiation table. Now, this window, it has been different, and a lot of teams, especially those top teams who are going into the Club World Cup, were very eager to make their signings. Ranji, welcome. Oh, it's okay. We'll just do everything. But thank you for everything, subscription and everything. Now, back to our what we were talking about. Things were late. Like everything, every team that was signing. There was a very short window. People started doing their business at the end of July until the start of August. Now, teams were desperate. But this season, teams started doing their business earlier on. For like Madrid were signing people to go to the Club World Cup. Chelsea were trying to sign people to go to the Club World Cup. And every other team that were going to the Club World Cup wanted to sign everybody to make their business, like to finish their business before going into the Club World Cup. And that also meant all these other teams who are not going there like to start their business, because it was that fear of missing out. Like if people are signing people, you have to sign people. And that meant, like, as currently nearly every team has made the bulk of their decisions, like the bulk of their signings. If it's a striking position, Chelsea has a striker, 2 strikers, Arsenal has a striker, Liverpool has a striker, Man United, I'm not sure, but they have made their signings. They probably just missing 1 or 2 signings. Like every team, even Man City, have made all their signings. Now, we have this kind of clubs who are feeder clubs, and I don't know, it's like they usually have scouts everywhere. I'm so sure even if I'm walking down the street, I'll meet a a scout of these feeder clubs. Like in the past, it was Borussia Dortmund. It was, the normal clubs that usually just keeps on selling. But Leverkusen was one of them. At some point, Wolves was one of them. Even now. But right now we have clubs like Leipzig, Lisbon, Benfica, Brighton is still there, that they usually have the right kind of people. Like they have scouts everywhere in the world. Sierra Leone, Brazil, America. You have a striker, Hojland. Okay, probably. Hojland. Okay, he's a striker. Probably you have 3 strikers then, because Obi is there and the Netherlands guy. What is his name? So that's just Kelvin, a Man United guy. So, the bulk of transfers are done. And these teams who were like feeder clubs, like they had people who they used to sell. Right now they're in a position where they have hoarded their players. Like we have seen a lot of guys holding their players because they were banking on these other teams who usually buy every season will be desperate at the end of the season. And it will be easier for them to fleece, like to charge a 20 million player to price them at 50 million, or a 30 million player, they will price them at 60 million, or a 40 or 50 million player, they will price them at 100 million. That has been the case for a very long time. And that shenanigan started this window. But because people are clever, the window was different. People made their signings. Now, none of the team is like desperate. Now we are in a position where these feeder clubs, they have ordered their players, they have their players, but nobody is meeting their prices. And one of them is Leipzig with Sesko. For the previous 2 weeks, they have been pricing Sesko at nearly 100, 150, then 120, and they were saying, if Liverpool is buying Wiz at 120, then they need to sell Sesko even much higher. And even some teams, even Gyökeres had the same issue. But then, because it was early in the season and a lot of teams had made their signings earlier on, at some point even they were a little bit clever, trying to make other teams to look like they are bidding for their guy, like to bring in some form of competition. Like there was a suggested, like every news or some people urging Man United to try and bid for Gyökeres to force Arsenal to pay the amount they were asking for Gyökeres. But Man United were, we are not going into that. We are not helping you. You just deal with the issue. Lisbon were forced to just, like they had only Arsenal bidding for that guy. So they had to sell at the price that, Arsenal wanted. Now this one, Sesko, nobody wants him. And now if you go to the news, you'll find that they have lowered the price. It was 100 million, now it's 70 million. And it's a little over 30 days until the end of the transfer, which means if nobody's bidding for him in the next 10 days, in the next 20 days, the amount will drop significantly. If they want to sell him, it will drop significantly. Now we'll have the right market price. And it's not just Sesko, it's for all these other players. Like people will start buying players at the right amount of price. And again, this issue of doing the transfers earlier on is bringing a lot of issues, because people like Alexander Isak, they were just cool. and everybody was signing their striker. Everybody was bidding. Every team was signing their striker. Every team was doing their business. And I think right now, I'm not sure any other team that still wants that big signing. If for anything, every other team just wants to some backup. And now Isak is giving a transfer request, and in my head I'm wondering, like, he should have done that earlier. He should have done that earlier. He should have done that before Liverpool signed Ekitike. He should have done that before Arsenal signed Gyökeres. He should have done that before all these other teams. Even Barcelona signed Rashford. He should have done that earlier. Like right now, how many teams are willing to meet the price of Isak in Europe? Like in the past, the teams that were willing to pay 100 million, they are like 5. Like it started with PSG paying that amount for Neymar. Then Real Madrid paying that amount for Hazard. Then Man City paying, who's this winger, Grealish. Then Chelsea paying those two midfielders. And Liverpool paying for Wids. Like only those 5 clubs have gone past 100. And it is not expected that these other clubs will be paying that amount. So even if Isak is going to be sold, I don't think there's any team that is going to spend the amount that Newcastle want. So in my thinking, I think either somebody, because Isak I think was cool, Newcastle was cool. Newcastle had not done a lot of business. They were not signing a lot of people. They were selling a lot of people, and you wonder like what was happening with the team. And I think somebody has whispered in Isak ears. I don't know if it's Al Hilal. I don't know if it's Liverpool. If it's Liverpool, then it's probably because they had their first training session with the Ekitike, and they discovered that we overrated this guy. Now we need another striker. Like that usually happens. Even with Arsenal, the way they signed Pedro, they had signed Delap. But then after a few sessions, after a few games, they discovered that, we are not going with this guy. We are not going with Delap. We are not going with Nicholas Jackson into new season. We need a guy. And I think that has happened with Liverpool. If Liverpool is the one that whispered into Isak ears, like, we are going to bid for you, then probably it's Al Hilal, which has been the news. But if Isak, with the quality that he has, like I think he's among the top 3 strikers in Europe right now. Like if you are rating strikers in Europe, probably Osimhen, then Isak. There's no Ken, but Ken is in the further end of his career. Who's the other one? Lewandowski is in the further end of his career. Now, we can't have a football world where the best striker is playing in Saudi Arabia. That should not happen. That should not happen. Like we can't be in a position where the best striker in the world is playing for Saudi Arabia team in Saudi Arabia league. Like that should not happen. So if Isak is going to Al Hilal, then I don't know what is happening with this football, because even Osimhen is playing for Galatasaray. Like, those are like the top 2 strikers. Probably Gyökeres is 3, but I don't know if the top 2 strikers are playing in leagues below the top 5 leagues. That's not the kind of quality we need in the top 5 leagues. That's not the kind of quality we'll be getting in, because we need the top players to play in the top league. Now, the thing with the Isak, like, how these teams usually like how transfers usually happen. Like if you are going to whisper into somebody's ears, like if you are going to talk to the agent, if you are going to talk to the player, it has to be public. Like every other team, like if I'm going to talk to a team that is contracted into another team, it has to be public. That's why every window you'll have to hear that this kind of agent or this kind of team made contact with this kind of player, but that has not been heard. Like we don't know who has talked to Isak, and if he's doing this thing without getting any information, without getting any agent telling him that, these are the kind of teams that are going to bid for you, or this is the kind of environment that you are going, or these are the terms that these teams are offering, then if he's just doing it for blindly, then I don't know what is happening with them. And I'm not sure any team that is going to meet his salary. He's asking salary because he's asking for 300K. 300K, Chelsea are not going to offer that. Probably Man City will offer that, but Man City has Haaland. So that's not happening. Man United could offer that, I'm not sure. But then Man United is not in Champions League. And that's what's happening with Man United. They can't sign any top player. You can see the people that are signing. It's the people who, at the previous team, were not playing in Champions League. I don't know even if Jackson will agree to go to Man United, as much as people are saying that Jackson will go to Man United. But any top player will want to play in Europe. Even if it's not Champions League, they'll have to want to play in Europa League. Now, Man United is not in Champions League. Man United is not in Europa League. Man United is just playing Premier League, then FA, and then Carabao. A top player will not agree to sign for that team as it is now. So Isak is not going there. Jackson is not going there. Isak is not going to Chelsea, is not going to Man United, is not going to Man City, is not going to Real Madrid, because nowadays Real Madrid will only sign a person for free. They have become another, I don't know, they are like MLS nowadays. Barcelona is not going to sign for them. So they're either going to sign for Liverpool or being shipped to Al Hilal. If that's correct, I'm not sure about the window. The window is just, it is correcting itself. Like we are in a point where the transfers are correcting themselves, like the financial. There's some financial, fairness. Like right now, even a small team can afford a good player. We were like last transfer, we were in a point where you will see players getting priced and then just wonder, like, what's happening? What's happening with this? This season things are correcting. Like Joe Felix is 50. Or 25, not even 50. And Nkunku is 25. Last season, Mount was bought for 60. Havertz, 65. So some certain players were bought for 57, 50, and you wonder, like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Now, the other news is that, this is the thing that I usually see with mid-table teams, how they do their business. And then you wonder, why can't a couple of these big teams just, recollect themselves, employ good scouts, and put them everywhere? Because John Arias is going to Wolves, and I'm sure is going to play nearly the same way as all those South American, Estupinan, Caicedo. Like, they are physical, they are technical, and probably in a couple of seasons or even after 6 months, somebody will be buying John Arias 90 or 80 million. I was wondering, why can't teams like Chelsea Arsenal, Man United, especially Man United, because they have certain kind of players which, if you are looking at the lineup, sometimes you wonder like, are they really really expecting? Because the price they bought Euro is very, he's not playing. It's like for fun. The same mistake. You buy somebody who has shown he will keep on, keep on, keep on getting injured every now and then, every now and then. That's what you expect. So if you're buying him to be your first 11, you're messing up. But then I wonder what the decision making in this team usually, like how they make their decisions. These are the professionals. Like, why are professionals making constant mistakes? I've always asked this question. Like, we can't be in a position, like, these top teams can't have professionals always making the same mistake over and over and over, especially in transfer. Sometimes you even think that they are doing some kind of money laundering, or probably that is what is happening, because some things don't make sense. But anyways, that's what has happened today. Anyway, tomorrow is 25th. Is it 25th or 26th? There will be friendlies. Today I don't think there's any major friendly that we need to see. For Chelsea, there's still a pending Xavi Simons. This has taken a lot. Like this transfer window, you are always like, a rumor will come today, and then after 2 days we have done our business. That's how efficient we are. That's how efficient we have been this transfer. With Xavi Simons, it's taking too long. The only time it took that long, it didn't materialize, and it was for Maignan, because we wanted a keeper. And we struggled with the AC Milan. We tried offer him because his contract is even ending next season, and they were adamant, no, we are not selling him for less than 25 million. You can't do business like that. And I think that thing made Maresca just decide to stick with Sanchez. I'm not sure how Sanchez will perform. Like, that performance with PSG, will that be the gauge for us going to with Sanchez in the next season? We needed to win that, but I don't think we needed that performance from Sanchez, because it has given the board, the coach, and the fans a lot of confidence in him. I remember in 2017, we started so well, but I think the loss, Arsenal's loss, made the team change a lot of things, including how we line up, including the people we needed to sign. And that's the reason. It was like a loss. It was like a blessing in disguise. You lose, initially, it makes you realize where the mistake is, and you correct it. Now, with Sanchez, we will only have, like right now, even we don't have a preseason, we'll only have two friendlies, and then we are heading into the Premier League. And the Premier League, the worst thing is that we are starting with teams at the lower table, so probably we'll beat them easily, and then the window just ends, and that's when we start seeing cracks in our defense or in our goalkeeping, and that messes our teams up. I think that win over PSG was good. We were the better team, but that performance with Sanchez, really, blocked. We have not seen errors. Like, our perception is that we have a solid team. We have a team that can compete. But Seeing the World Cup, the Club World Cup, and seeing the end of the Premier League, and given that Sanchez is 25, is 26, is also probably heading or at his prime, like the chances of improvements are so little. You know how players usually improve, like you can improve from 17 to 25 to 26. If you are at 27 years old, you have been playing for nearly 10 years in professional level, so the improvement gap to your peak is so small that if somebody signs somebody at 27 and they think that we are going to get a better player with better coaches, that's not going to happen. Like if you think people like Tosin are going to improve considerably, like significantly, that is not going to happen. If anybody reaches 25, 27 and has been playing from academy, like he was 10, 15, he was being shown these are the mistakes you are making, these are the things you have done wrong, these are what you are going to improve. Once you reach 24, 25, that's your peak. We have seen it with so many players. We have seen it with a lot of players who everybody was saying that will be world class, but then you come at a certain point and realize that this can only give this, like this player can only give this output. For Rashford, a lot of people since 2022 said that this player is going to improve, but to some extent he was playing professional football for so long that was his peak. Like he can only improve. His improvement will be insignificant. So people thinking Sanchez is going to improve, people thinking Tosin is going to improve, I don't think it will be that significant. So the mistakes that he made last year will probably be the mistakes that he will make this year. And that's not just for Sanchez, it's for a lot of people who have been, a lot of teams have, a lot of players that have, I don't know how to say it, like those players that the fans or coaches have a lot of confidence in them, but they have plateaued. We can go at any team. You can check Maguire, plateau. You can go to Man City. People like, there's a lot of people. Even the person they sold, the defender Laporte, he plateaued. He was even signed in Saudi Arabia, and then Saudi Arabia decided, nah, for that price we are paying, for the salary we are paying, you are the same. You are not going to offer more than you paid for. Once you reach a certain age, you can just improve your athletic, you can just maintain. That's what is happening. That's what I was here to say for today. Anyway, until we see the friendlies, I really want to see how these players fit in. I want to see how Gyökeres will fit in Premier League, like how he will fit in that team. They're just players that you want, really. They were so hyped. Like, the hype was so big that you really want to just see how they play, how they fit. If the hype is as nearly the same as the performance they'll put. And for Premier League, I think the few signings that I really want to watch, of course I want to watch Pedro, how he will perform. I think we have confidence in him, but then, that's the only guy in Chelsea. Yeah. In Man United, Mbeumo, Kuna, they'll be first 11. In Arsenal, Gyökeres. I also want to know if Madueke will be in the first 11. For Man City have made a lot of signings that I'm not even sure. And I don't know why they are under the radar. Man City is underperforming, but nobody cares even about them. And especially Pep. We really need to know when they go down, we really need to highlight their mistakes. That will be, as much as I will be commenting about Chelsea performance, I will also be hate watching Man City a lot, and it's just for fun. I don't have an issue with them, but I want to see how Pep changes. How Pep changes when he's facing a lot of trouble, when he's not getting the players that he wants, because he has been touting himself as the best. I want to see when the best gets trouble, what will he do? Then Liverpool, I also want to see Liverpool. I want to see Wits. I want to see Frimpong as a right back. I want to see Ekitike. But I'm not sure they'll start with Ekitike. If Isak is not going to Saudi Arabia, and then they're probably the one that are going to sign Isak. And if they sign Isak, they'll have Ekitike in that place where Gakpo was, where you have a big name, but you're not playing. That's not a good place to be. Anyway, thank you for being here for the good 30 minutes. Subscribe, share, like, and follow us on socials. Biased Pandit everywhere. Jesse, Ryan G, and anybody. Until next time.